So welcome to the first video actually out on the road from the Norfolk Herald. I was inspired to do this A, because I very much like driving the Herald around and I'm looking for any excuse possible to do so, but I was really secondly inspired by my friend Sean, who has a channel that does a similar thing but much more polished than this will ever be. His channel's called A County for Old Cars, and he covers the Suffolk area. I've already put a couple of videos on the channel just sort of describing how I bought the Herald, how I came to want one, how I discovered one, how I wanted a Vitesse, but this was too good to miss and I haven't regretted it for a single second. Anyway, here we are. We're now coming into the market town of Watton, W-A-T-T-O-N. It's in mid-Norfolk. It's about equidistant Norwich and King's Lynn, in England, of course, for those who are looking from abroad. It's a town that's had a bit of a checkered up and down history. It thrived quite well while it had a railway service, but along with many other towns, declined significantly after Dr. Beeching disposed of many rail lines and stations in the 1960s. At that time, the town also had an RAF base attached to it, which did help to alleviate the blow of the loss of the rail service. However, the airbase finished in the 1990s and was sold off, and is mainly developed for housing now. Consequently, that and the position of the town, pretty much geographically in the middle of Norfolk, so although Watton's in the middle of Norfolk, it isn't actually on the way to anywhere, so most of the population that live here, and the population has expanded in recent years due to new developments, most of the population go to either Thetford or Norwich for their jobs, or some do actually commute by car to Cambridge. So we're now on the west side of the town, and we're going to take a right at the roundabout and go up to the village, which is just about attached to Watton. It's not a suburb, they like to think of it as a village, of Saham Toney. Saham has in the past been quite badly affected by flooding. However, they've got a flood alleviation scheme now underway. There's major works going on land higher than the main centre to try and slow the flow of water down into the village. We're now going over the bridge of the small stream which passes through the village. Ahead of us in a little while you may now begin to see the church tower. It's quite an attractive church. Sits in a prominent position, as very many of them do in England, on slightly higher ground. My experience of Norfolk villagers, and I've been to an awful lot of them, they did know where to build the churches, and we give the local authorities a pat on the back for the minute. When the local authorities built housing in villages, they very often chose the best locations for those as well. Here we are, you can see the church now. I think it's a typical Norfolk flint church with a square tower. I don't know if you can see the tower that clearly, but flint is not a material that likes corners, so the corners have to be built of stone, and then the flint infills between the corners. And the reason, I'm sorry, I should say the fact that, oh look, a Triumph stag. Not going as well as this. Well, sorry to see that, but it looks as though people know what they're doing. As I was saying, flint churches in Norfolk particularly very often have round towers, and the reason for that is that the flint can easily be built in a circle, but as I was saying, if you need to have a square tower, then you have to have stone for the corners. And other than flint, Norfolk doesn't have any building stone. So any stone that is used for the corners has to be imported from quite a long way away. If you do watch Sean's channel, A County for Old Cars, you'll probably be well aware that he does like what he calls opening up the taps. I do as well, and we'll do a little bit to that later on, but I'm filming this in the height of the English summer. The sky is full of cloud. It rained yesterday. It's going to rain tomorrow. They're forecasting a storm with gale force winds on Monday. Now, the height of the summer, that can only mean one thing. Yes, the children have broken up on their summer holidays. We had some excellent weather in July before the kids broke up, and virtually the day they broke up, the weather has broken as well. To be honest, nothing much unusual for that in the UK. It's what normally happens at school holiday times, causing parents to curse, and obviously is one of the reasons why the airports are crammed to the gills with people going abroad. So this is the village of Ashill that we're now coming through, and you'll see the church for this village is positioned in prominent location in front of us in a minute. Well, actually it's in front and to the right hand side. There we are, large church, fairly plain however. Particularly on the inside. In future videos I'll be perhaps visiting a church or two and going into a bit of detail. This is really in the nature of a test, just to see how my new microphone performs. If you can see any hair of mine, what's left of it anyway, wafting around, you'll appreciate that it is a bit breezy today as well. So it'll be a good test for the dead cat, if nothing else. Recycling centre on the right is extremely quiet today. The last time I came past here 3 or 4 days ago, there was a large queue, despite the fact that you now have to make an appointment to attend the recycling centre. Now we can open up the taps, can't we, Sean? Not sure if you can see the speedo, but she does read a little bit slow, so an indicated 50, which we had there, is closer to 55. On the right hand side here, there's a turning up to a very historic church, Watton on the hill, and I'll definitely be taking you up there at some point. Has a fascinating story to it. I'll tell the story when I go to the church on another occasion, but if in the meantime you can't wait, then it's Houghton, Houghton, on the hill. If you Google that, Houghton on the Hill Church. On the left here we've got South Pickenham Church. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a round tower with an octagonal top to it. Just makes it a little bit grander. There is one church in North Norfolk, I can't remember the name of it for the moment, that had to have its tower rebuilt after the Second World War because a Spitfire unfortunately crashed into it. So we're seeing some typical Norfolk countryside. You might just be able to ascertain that despite Noel Coward's assertion that Norfolk is very flat, Norfolk, in fact it does undulate. We do have some high ground, over 300 feet above sea level. I mean, imagine. But it does go up and down a little bit. So we're now entering the village of Great Cressingham. Cressingham, Saxon origins apparently, and it means the homestead of Cressers people. This is Great Cressingham, which is slightly bigger than Little Cressingham, which we will also go to. The church here, listen to me, the public house, the windmill, is very popular. Cressingham is close to the Peddars Way long distance footpath that runs the length of Norfolk and part of Suffolk and up to the North Norfolk coast, where it links into the North Norfolk coast path. The main village of Great Cressingham's off to the left, but we'll continue ahead and shoot off to Little Cressingham. So there's a fair few properties built of flint in this part of Norfolk, but there's a good mix of other property constructions as well. Brick, because in addition to the chalk layer, we've also got areas that are interspersed with quite a heavy clay, so that's been good for brick making. So bricks were made locally, and properties built of brick in the 17th, 18th centuries, and indeed the Victorian period. Obviously in the 20th century, local brick making completely ceased, and the bricks are now acquired from a very few large companies producing millions of bricks a year, and then brought by lorry to the sites. In the old times, of course, if you didn't have clay in the soil, then you wouldn't build of brick, because the transportation was a problem. We're on reasonably high ground here, and we'll drop down to Little Cressingham. And yes, so as well as flint and brick, we do have some timber framing, because there were plenty of trees around here as well. And we also do have another local form of construction to Norfolk and Suffolk, which is clay lump. It's similar to cob, but with clay lump, the clay was dug and formed into blocks, and then dried in the sun. The clay was mixed with horsehair to bind it together, and then dried in the sun and just used as a building material. The drier clay gets, the clay blocks get, the harder they get. So it's actually a very durable building material, unless it gets wet, which it doesn't like at all, because it then tries to basically revert to being clay. It can get wet if the outer render is a lime render and it's porous, then the moisture can escape, and the clay lump can stand a wetting and then a drying. But unfortunately, in the 20th century, a lot of those properties got rendered with cement, because lime render went out of fashion. It was more difficult to do. Cement was a wonderful material. Cement unfortunately doesn't allow buildings to breathe, so some of the clay lump buildings that were cement rendered, the walls just lost all of their structural integrity. Not nice. As you can see, we're still dropping down. It's a gentle slope, but we've come from quite a height, and I can vouch for that because my hair's no longer being blown about. So we're now going to be entering Little Cressingham, It has a most unusual feature, and you can just see it ahead now. The remains of the mill. Now, Little Cressingham Mill is believed to be unique in that it was a wind and water mill. The wind power drove sails that powered one of the millstones, but there's also a little stream, and we've now gone over it, and that powered a water wheel which powered the other stone. Obviously no longer in use. The site is accessible. The mill is occasionally open for you to have a look inside. I'm not sure what's in there. I've never actually been in, but it's a pleasant little location, but supposed to be unique in this country. I don't know whether any other similar things exist elsewhere in the world, but unique for this country. You might just be able to see on the left here Little Cressingham Church, which is partly in ruins, but only partly. Part of it is still in use. So we're now leaving Little Cressingham, and we're about to join the B1108, which, although a B-class road, is actually quite a decent bit of road. So we'll be opening up the taps. Here we are at 50. Yes, you are still with me, that's good. And an indicated 60, if you bear in mind what I said earlier about the speedometer. I'm saying no more. We're now heading back into Watton, which we'll be at in a mile or two. Traffic lights. Or maybe not. Oh, this will be for tomorrow. Just remembered, on the left hand side here, we've now got preparations underway for Wayland's show, local agricultural show, which is going to take place here tomorrow. And to the right and to the left we have what is now the major employer for Watton, euphemistically known as a meat processing factory. Just a posh name for an abattoir really, but they do obviously more than that. They package it as well. We've got cars parked all over the place today. And lorries. On the left hand side here we have a dealer in Triumphs, and there are lots and lots of Triumphs there, but they're the two-wheeled variety. I would think probably the major motorcycle dealer in the county. I could be wrong. I don't know a lot about motorcycles. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little trip round the middle of Norfolk. It's probably a bit rough around the edges. I'll try and edit out some of my worst gaffes, but no doubt as I do more of these I will get more polished, or if I don't, then I'll just be a source of amusement, but I don't really care. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.